Everyone's favorite Korean show filled with deadly children's games is finally back. It's time to talk about Squid Game Season 3, or 2.5 depending on how you look at it. This is the Geek Cabal channel. If you've not been here before, my name is Bobbie, and today we're going to be talking about the latest season of Squid Game, which is dubbed Season 3, but it's really 2.5. Season 2 was just apparently so big they had to break it in half, I guess. So to kind of recap where things stood at the end of the last season, Gi-yoon, the main guy, who is played by Lee Jung-jae, who I spent the entirety of the Acolyte videos referring to as Squid Game. He deserved better. He's a good actor. Deserved better than the Acolyte, deserved better than me just calling him Squid Game. He had rejoined the games, and in some attempt to destroy them from within, and leads a revolt, which gets put down, and ultimately all of his conspirators are killed. So, but he is not, because the front man, who is played by Lee Byung-hun, and by the way, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing any of these names. I'm not fluent in Korean. He's the front man, or In-ho. He is will probably be known to Western audiences. He played Storm Shadow in 2 of the live-action G.I. Joe movies, and was also in Red Part 2. And so, so if you see him, you're like, that guy looks kind of familiar. That's where you've seen it before. And I should briefly mention the only other person that I'm going to bother mentioning who they are is Wee Jun. He is Junho. He's the detective. He's In-ho's brother. He is trying to help Gi-yoon bring down the games, but also he has questions for his brother because he's the front man, and it's a whole deal there. So, like I said, Gi-yoon led the revolt, got a lot of people killed, but he wasn't killed. And then Junho is out with the fisherman who rescued him from the end of Season 1 after his brother shot him, and is trying to find the island. The fisherman, as you saw in the end of the last season, is in on it. And so there's a whole subplot going on there. And there's another subplot I probably should have found out the actors' names. It's one of the guards is a woman from North Korea who was separated from her daughter. She had to leave her behind in the north, and she's developed an affinity for this man and his daughter that work at the same park she works at, and the guy ends up in the games. So there's a whole subplot there that I'll talk about in the spoiler section. So, so the games were about halfway through, give or take. Junho still wasn't having any luck because, again, the boat captain's screwing him around and not taking him anywhere near where he needs to go. So like that whole plot is literally just kind of going in circles. Gi-yoon is kind of at a breaking point, and so things were looking bleak. Now, Season 2, I'm not going to sit here and say it was all rainbows and sunshine, but compared to Season 3, Season 2 was kind of light. Season 3 is where all of the dreariness, no, that's probably the word I'm looking for here. All of the well, let's just say that this season is definitely like dark. Like Season 2 built you up to certain expectations, certain possibilities. Season 3 dashes all hope. It is a black hole that sucks all hope and light in the universe in until like the very end. So, and I'll explain more on that in the spoiler section, but it has definitely taken a turn, definitely a darker, far bloodier turn. Episode 3 or 4, I think, is the hide and seek episode, and that's where things get real. The rules of that game are half the people have to run and hide, and as long as they stay hidden for the length of the game, they succeed. By hidden, I mean stay alive. And they each have a key that will unlock certain doors. Once the doors are unlocked, they cannot be locked. And eventually people realize that they have different shapes on the keys, and there's a whole deal to that. The other half of the people are given knives, and for them to succeed, they have to kill someone. One of the people trying to hide. They make clear they're not supposed to kill people on their own team. So if they fail to kill someone, they will be eliminated with prejudice. So this episode was similar to the season 1 episode where they had the marble competition, where everyone's going into it like, oh yeah, we'll pair up with someone, we'll beat this thing together, and it's like, no, one of the two of you is going to die. And it's similar to that in how some of the pairings have worked out. Again, I'll kind of explain that in the spoiler section. So overall, I thought it was really good. I thought the ending was really one of the only ways you could end things, because otherwise it would have had to have gone for a very unrealistic ending, in my opinion, and I'll elaborate on that in the spoiler section. Because I've seen certain people really don't care for this season. I thought it was good. There is a major spoiler for future plans. Me even saying that there are future plans is probably a spoiler in and of itself. But yeah, the acting is really good. Now I watched the dubbed version, so But no, it's I thought it was really good. Blew through it really quickly. It's like 6 episodes, so 6, 7, something like that. And it's on Netflix, obviously. So, but yeah, definitely worth a watch, especially if you've seen the last 2 seasons. If you've not, you start from the beginning and watch the whole thing. It's good. There's a reason why this is the highest rated show on Netflix. And although part of that is a thing that Roger Corman kind of talked about in an interview on Joe Bob Briggs' last drive-in show on Shudder. Roger Corman, by the way, passed away, was it earlier this year, late last year? Absurdly prolific movie creator. I think they said between writing, producing, and directing, he'd been involved in over 700 films. Whenever Joe Bob was interviewing him, the man was 93 and had 3 movies in production. Like, we can all only hope to achieve things like that and to be that productive at that age. And you could tell in the interview that, like, he was still with it. Like he wasn't, this wasn't a guy that, like, someone was holding his hand and, running things behind the scenes or, other recent accusations to powerful political people. No, this man was clearly still had it together. And he talked about his most well-received movie was The Death Race 2000. Now, this is a movie from the late 60s, early 70s, somewhere in there. And it'd be the 70s. And I know that for a reason, an anecdote I'll get to here in a moment. This is not the movie Death Race. That is, it's built on the concept, but was seriously sanitized for modern audiences. And I say that even though it's a fairly violent movie. Because if you've seen Death Race is a bunch of death row inmates and prisoners driving around in cars trying to kill each other. The Death Race 2000 is about a cross-country race where you get points for running people over. And it's televised. And, like, it's under, like, there's a totalitarian regime, and, like, there's the rebellion, and, David Carradine is the main driver. Sylvester Stallone's one of the drivers. Yeah. Like, it's a different animal. Similar, there's similar concepts. It's racing. It's a blood sport race. But the other is, the original Death Race 2000 is far more open, and yeah. So the reason I'm nearly positive it's the 70s is because, from what I've been told, that was the movie my dad convinced my mom to go watch at the drive-in on their first date. It's a miracle I'm here. So, yeah. But Roger Corman noted that movies about like blood sports as entertainment, that clearly as a species we indulge in these things, like the Roman Colosseum. I mean, that's what it's built on. Even if we take the view that most of the fights were probably staged and people weren't really being killed except for a few narrow times, and depending on who was fighting. Most of the gladiators, apparently it was a show, like they weren't actually dying. Now, if it was them versus some slaves, well, or when they were feeding Christians the lions and things like that, those were people actually being killed. At least that's what I understand. But it's not just the Romans. This existed in all kinds of other cultures, like the Aztecs played a primitive form of basketball, and the losers got sacrificed to probably Quetzalcoatl or something, had their hearts torn open on top of the big pyramids, things like that. And I'm sure it permeates other cultures as well. And so, just this idea of we as a species enjoy blood sports. And it's not pretty, but it's a thing. And he kind of talked about other movies, like the Hunger Games. It's the same concept. The Running Man, same concept. And so, something like Squid Game being super popular, yeah, it's a different twist on it. And it's got some critiques of modern society, of people. I'm sure there's a critique on capitalism buried in here somewhere, and rich versus poor, and so on and so on. And, so all these things are here, so it's a layered thing. It's not just let's watch people be killed playing children's games. No, there's more to it. And so, yeah, I see why this is the most popular show on Netflix, or the most highly rated. I don't remember which, maybe both. And also why they are not going to let this franchise die. So, and I'll get to that here in a minute. So anyway, before I get into spoilers, I thought Season 3 was really good. Definitely worth a watch. Check it out, especially if you've seen the other two and you haven't gotten around to this one yet. I didn't even know it was on until I saw a post on Twitter where someone literally said, this show's been on for 2 days and nobody's talking about this. What's going on? So, yeah, I don't log into Netflix unless I know I'm going to watch something. So, otherwise I would have known it immediately because I'm sure it's plastered everywhere on Netflix. So, probably among my most highly recommendations. Go watch it, check it out. If you're checking out here before I get into spoilers, please like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Comment down below, if you're going to see this, what you think of the other 2 seasons. Are you going to stick around for what comes after? All that fun stuff. Like, share, subscribe, sharing, and commenting will help us grow the channel. It was appreciated. And of course, all you folks that helped us get over the 500 subscriber mark recently, we really appreciate that. So, now we're going to boldly go into the spoiler zone. And, yeah, so where to begin? Well, like I said, hide and seek is the brutal episode because several things happen in this episode. We have the young woman who is pregnant. She makes a deal with the guy that is the dad. He promises that he will come and find her and protect her because he's got a knife. And so that's what he promises to do. He says he'll find someone to kill so he can move on to the next round, and he'll help protect her and get her to safety or something. And he does that. He teams up with the guy who was the promoter, I think, yeah, for the rapper Thanos. Ridiculous name, by the way. Because the whole Marvel connection, terrible, only flaw in the whole series, in my opinion. So he managed to grab that guy's cross that had the drugs in it, and so he's spacing out. And so he teams up with the other guy because he's like, hey, why don't we team up together? And so then they make a pact where they find the first guy, they get him down, and they both realize that if the other one kills him, then that counts as a kill, and they have no real reason to help the other one at that point. So they stab him at the same time, and like, all right, well, that's only half a kill, so now we gotta go find someone else to do the same thing to them. Then once they take the second guy out, the guy that's whacked out of his mind on drugs is like, hey, let's just keep taking people out, because it's a 2-for-1, because we're going to eliminate the people that we kill, but also that means less people with the knives are going to find someone to kill, because we killed them first. And so they just go on a murder spree. And the girl that's pregnant ends up giving birth, and she is with the old woman who's there with her son, and I believe she's supposed to be a transgender woman. And she ends up giving birth. They find a spot to hide, and then the guy, the dad, kills the transgender woman because she's just there in a doorway and he can't see that she's helping guard the girlfriend and the baby. So he's doing what he told the other woman he was going to do. Then he sees her and she's like, "Oh, what are you doing? Why'd you kill her?" And, he's like, "Well, I'm just doing what I told you I was going to do. I didn't know you were in here. Didn't know you guys were together." So she gets a little pissy. It turns out, by the way, smart choice, but, well, kind of. Then the old woman and her son are on different teams. He has a knife, and he wasn't able to find anyone. There's like a minute left, and so he's going to kill the girl that just gave birth. And the mom's like, "No, you can't do that. Like, she just had this baby." And he's like, "Well, but I'm your son." And she's like, "Okay, then kill me." And he's like, I can't do that. You're my mother." And so he moves her out of the way and is going to go kill the other woman. And his mom kills him to save the mom of the baby. And yeah, that was heartbreaking. And then after the game, she gets Giyun to promise to take care of the baby if something happens, and then she kills herself because she can't live with the fact she killed her son. And yeah, that was definitely like a major emotional low point of the show. That was the hard times moment. The woman who keeps claiming to be like some priestess, she got killed there because she was double-crossed by the older guy that keeps being like, "Oh, let's keep going, guys. We'll just kill some more people and make a lot more money." And, that guy, who unfortunately makes it to the last round, but man, his death is very satisfying when it finally happens. I hated him. But yeah, so they keep going, and it comes down to about 9 people. Oh, there's the jump rope game where they have to cross this. They've got like an expanse it's about this wide, and it's a real long bridge, and it's got a gap in it while a giant jump rope is going. And they've got, I don't know, it's like 10-15 minutes for everyone to get across. So Giyun goes first. He takes the baby and he goes across to the other side because the girl broke her ankle in the last game. So he goes over there. Then another guy gets over there. Once the other guy gets over there, everyone that tries to make the jump to the last jump, he just keeps shoving them and killing them. And so then the people are like kind of backing up on the bridge, and so a few of them shove and kill each other. And the dad of the kid is trying to convince the girl, like, "Hey, look, I'm going to take care of you and the kid. Like, let me help you across." She's like, "What are you going to do, carry me? Like, I can't make it across there." And ultimately he leaves her. Giyun stops the one guy from pushing everyone off. And she's yelling to Giyun, like, "Look, you don't have time to come back and get me. It's going to take you way too long. Stay over there and protect my baby." And so she dies. And then it's down to, I think, 9 people, counting the baby, because the clients, the elites, the rich people that are watching and betting on the games, decide that they're going to keep the baby in the game in place of the mother. I think it's player 222. So it comes down to Giyun, the baby, this other guy that was kind of associated with Thanos and the promoter, because the promoter got killed too. And he's got the guy's cross, so he's whacked out on drugs now too. And then the older guy, the dad of the baby, and like 4 other guys. And they tell them, like, they bring them in, they have them all eat food like they did, the last season before the final game. And they tell them that up to 6 people can survive the last game, and that'll be it. They'll be done, and up to 6 people can win. There's 9 people left. It says that then they tell them that they'll get to decide who goes, who gets killed. And so they're like, "Well, it's real easy. Like, we're gonna Giyun, the baby, and the drug guy. Like, easy peasy." Now, of course, they're stupid and take all this at face value and don't realize that whenever they say you can choose, like, it's going to be like, yeah, but you're going to have to enforce that choice. So, Gi-yoon is taken to see the front man, In-ho. And In-ho offers him a choice. He's like, well, it's like, do you still believe in, human decency? And he's like, I'll give you a choice, another way out. And he gives him a knife, and he's like, they've all eaten well, they're all fast asleep. Go in there and slit their throats. You kill the 6 of them, the game's over. You win. And he's like, well, why are you doing this? Why are you talking to me? And he takes his mask off, and that's when he realizes that it's In-ho, player 001. And he realizes the depth of the betrayal that's occurred. And so he goes back, takes the knife with him, goes back, and he goes up to the older guy, and he's going to do it, but he backs off. And as is happening, the front man starts flashing back. He was in the games at one point years ago and was given a similar choice, and he killed everybody. And he's seeing that Gi-yoon isn't going to do it. And Gi-yoon is proving that he is the better man, and it's starting to get to the front man. I should also mention that Gi-yoon was after a guy back in the whole hide-and-seek thing. It was a guy that betrayed him in the rebellion, and he takes him out. He clearly makes it known that he's got that guy's number. So, the final game, there are 3 gigantic concrete columns in the shape of the Squid Game. There's a round column, a triangular column, and a square column. And so they take an elevator up to the top of the first one. And the rules are, there's a little button that emerges, and once they press the button, the timer starts. They have 15 minutes. One person has to die. At least one person has to die. And that's going to repeat itself in each column. So there are 9 people left. That's how 6 people could win the game. And so the 6 guys that have formed a team are like, well, we know who we're going to kill here. It's just a matter of which one we're going to shove off first. And the columns are really high up. It's a fatal flaw. It's a fatal height to fall from. And there was a steel pole in the middle of the elevator, and the guy who's the dad of the kid goes over and pulls it out and uses it to shove the drug guy off. So he's the first one, because he's like, well, we're going to have to figure out a way to separate In-ho and the baby, but for right now, this guy's by himself. Let's just take care of him. And then they move over to the next platform, and they try to convince Gi-yoon to hand over the baby and do the honorable thing and jump off, but he's like, yeah, well, you're just going to kill the baby the next night. I can't let you do that. And that ultimately ends up with just Gi-yoon, the baby, and the baby's dad. The other guys all get killed in the melee that ends up happening. And again, very satisfying death of the older guy. So then it comes down to the 3 of them. Well, the dad crosses over the bridge that emerges, and there's a set amount of time to cross the bridge. And then he immediately turns on Gi-yoon. And Gi-yoon's like, what the hell are you doing? And he's like, hand me the baby. He's like, what do you mean, hand you the baby? If I hand you the baby and I stay over here and die, that means either you have to kill your own child or you're going to have to sacrifice yourself for your own child. Take us both across and we can discuss this. He's like, but if just the 2 of you go, it's bad choices. And the guy makes it kind of clear that he's going to kill the kid. And I don't remember what his rationale was, but yeah, he's lost it. He's Fruit Loops. So Gi-yoon hands the kid over, and then the timer stops, and there's a retractable bridge, and it starts pulling back in. And one of the guys not looking, he takes off at a run, clears the gap, and ends up on the other column. Then him and the other guy fight it out. They both go over the edge. Gi-yoon's holding on with one arm and holding the other guy. The guy falls to his death. Gi-yoon pulls himself back up. And he realizes that he never hit the button to start the game. So that death doesn't count. So he kind of paces for a minute and then hits the button. While this is happening, the North Korean woman was able to smuggle the guy that works at the theme park that she worked at off of the island. The detective, Junho, and his guys get ambushed by the boat captain, so most of them get killed, It's down to Junho and one guy. The other guy that was kind of working with Junho, who was the criminal guy that had been hired by Gi-yoon, like the second in command because the main guy got killed by the other guy. I'm sorry, didn't write those names down. I apologize. Who was out like the recruiting guy, and I don't remember what they called that guy. I just know the actor's in Train to Busan. And he died playing Russian roulette with Gi-yoon. So he was on land because he was going to check out the boat captain because something just seemed fishy about it. He figured it out and was able to warn them because the cops also called the boat captain, and so he knew what was up. So the detective took him out, but the other team got completely wiped out in the ambush. So it's down to just a couple of them. So the detective guy goes to the island. The North Korean woman kills the second in command on the island, and she goes to where the records are because she's going to destroy all the records this guy was ever involved, the guy that she's trying to save. But as she's leaving, she sees her records, and it says that her daughter is dead. And so she kind of breaks down, but she gets off the island, and then the Coast Guard is coming as all this is happening. So Gi-yoon sees that the timer's ticking down and finally turns towards where he knows the VIPs are and tells them, he's like, human beings are not horses. As in, they're not just animals to bet on. And then he's like, human beings are, and then takes a header off the column so that he dies so the baby will live. To show the front man that not only does he believe in human decency, but he's going to put his money where his mouth is. And I've seen people have some problems with this. They look at it as, oh, well, Gi-yoon did all this and didn't stop anything. That's not the point. He was never going to stop anything. It's too big of a machine for one guy to try to bring down. What he was doing was proving that there are decent people in this world. You know, just like in the end of season 1, whenever the old man was proven wrong because someone did help the homeless guy down there. You know, this was Gi-yoon showing him that despite everything that's happened, he's going to die a decent person doing what's right. And I think that ultimately really moved the front man. And you see that in the kind of the follow-up that happens afterwards. So he gets everyone off, you know, has everyone evacuate, activates the self-destruct, runs into his brother for a minute, doesn't say much to him. Then you see back on land the detective and the kind of criminal guy that was working for Gi-yoon. They go to Gi-yoon's place there in the hotel where he had all the money, and it's gone. The front man took it. And he leaves the baby with his brother with a card that has all the money on it, because technically the baby, since they put her in the game and placed her mother, she's technically the winner. So she got the huge cash prize. So he did the honorable thing and gave her to someone that will take care of her, gave her the money. Then you see him in California, where he finds Gi-yoon's daughter. And initially she's like, you know, my dad had said word one to me, this, that, and the other. And he's like, I'm here to deliver his effects to you. Before he died, he told me to give these things to you. And it's his uniform from the games, but also the card that has, he, like I said, he stole the money, and he put it all, you know, put it back into a bank account, and it's all in the card. And he gives it to her. And she's shocked, you know, one, her dad's dead, but also like that he left her anything, you know, that his final act was to leave her something, you know, that he was thinking about her at the end. Presumably who actually was. This is the front man doing this in his name, obviously, but. And by the time she has questions for him, he's already back in his SUV and taken off. And then he pulls up to a stoplight, and he notices in an alleyway that there's a woman in a nicely cut suit playing the envelope game with a guy back here in the back alley, recruiting. The woman, Kate Blanchett, in a 2-minute cameo in the final episode, in the final 2 minutes of the show. She is playing the role of the guy back in Korea who I said was also in Train to Busan. Because the next season is Squid Games USA, where the games come to America. So hopefully, as good as these, it's going to be a different crew. I think it's David Goyer is the one who's going to be directing it. So, we've got Kate Blanchett, who I'm assuming isn't just in a 2-minute cameo here. I'm assuming she actually has a role going forward. So with that, I'm assuming we're going to have some real stars, people you'll actually recognize, which hopefully doesn't detract from it. And, hopefully it's still as entertaining. Hopefully they can come up with some original ideas. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I have high hopes. I hope it's not just a cash grab. It could be, but I don't think it's going to be with Kate Blanchett and David Goyer. At least I think it's David Goyer. I really should have written that down before I got into all this. But anyway, if it's not him, I'll put it down in the comments or something. But yeah, so overall impressions. Really liked it. Liked the ending. I've seen some people don't like the ending. I don't think there was another narratively satisfying way to end it. Because if they would have actually stopped the Squid Games, like if the Coast Guard would have shown up just in time and arrested everyone, that would have been contrived. No one would have liked it. It's narratively satisfying on some levels, but also knowing the wealth and power these people have to be able to put these games on in the first place and everything, like, no, these are not the type of people that get arrested. Like, that's reality. And the shows tried to kind of hew towards reality. In a more fantasy setting, obviously obviously Gi-yoon everything would have worked out just in time, so that Gi-yoon would, someone would have stopped him just before he jumped, because the good guys are here and the bad guys have been arrested, and that's, what do you do after that? This is a definitive ending. Gi-yoon shows the front man that human decency is a thing, that it's real, that people really have it, and that he is better than the front man. And his acknowledgement there that human beings, that they're real, they exist, that they're not cattle, they're not animals to be bet on. That final screw you to all of those people. And I think that was more impactful, because otherwise he's still out there, he's got the money, the VIPs are not really going to go to jail. And then he's potentially a loose end, becomes kind of like Hostel Part 2, where, spoiler alert, the guy who survived Hostel Part 1 gets killed in the first few minutes because he's a loose end. It just leaves it open for a cheap shock like that, because that's all they're really going to do. Because what are they going to do, have him go back a third time? It's repetitive. Like, this was a good way to end things, in my opinion. It gave Gi-yoon going out on a high note, showing, standing up for what he believes in and doing the right thing, and it doesn't leave tons of loose ends, so it's going to allow everything to shift over to the next series just fine. So I thought it was good. That's just me. So yeah, I would recommend watching it if you like the other two seasons. I thought this was the better half of the season. It's more brutal. Emotions ran higher, stakes became real, because the first half of the season leads you to believe that maybe some people are actually going to survive because they keep voting, maybe it'll work out. No. Absolutely not. So yeah, Bob says, check it out. It's on Netflix, and look forward to Squid Game USA sometime in the near future. Don't know when. Yeah. That's all I've got today, folks. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Have you already watched it? Are you going to watch it? Did you like the other two seasons? Have you not watched any of it, but you're going to watch it based on my recommendation? Stranger things have happened. But yeah, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Sharing and commenting would help us spread the channel. We always appreciate it. And subscribing, obviously, that's the name of the game here on YouTube. We really appreciate that. And definitely appreciate all of you folks who helped us get us over the 500 subscriber mark a couple months ago. And hope you stick with us as we head towards their next milestone. The realistic next milestone is 1,000, but we'll get there in bits and pieces. So it's more like 600 right now. But anyway, that's all I've got for today. So keep an eye out for more stuff, because I've definitely been watching more movies and stuff here lately. So I've got some more videos, and as usual, a little more BattleTech stuff. But anyway, that's all I've got. So be seeing you folks later.